Welcome to the Reinvention Show with your host, Carol Wayne. Today, Carol's guests are Joel Comm, Mike Koenigs, and in the hot seat, Carrie Brown. I'm your producer, Keith Vachon, and now your host, Carol Wayne.
Welcome to the Reinvention Show, the one and only show that entertains, educates, and inspires you on your journey for reinvention. Oh, how the marketing world has changed since I started my business back in 1996. Back then, I decided I was going to use 3 marketing channels: the internet, networking, and the media. And as I was preparing for the show today, I realized that's still what I use. Today's show is all about reinventing your reach, and our guests are a power team of marketers. I've got Joel Comm with me, and Joel is everywhere on social media, and he created a rather interesting app, which we'll hear about too. And then we have Mike Koenigs, and Mike was the Marketer of the Year for 2009, so he's a perfect person to talk about reach. And we have Carrie Brown, and Carrie was the founding executive director for eWomen Network in Victoria, British Columbia. So we're going to talk to her, put her on the hot seat, and get her some coaching from Mike and Joel. So let's get started, because I know it's going to be a huge show. Welcome, Mr. Joel Comm. How are you?
I'm doing great. Hi, Carol.
So, Joel, give us a little bit about your background and tell us about this app.
Well, I've been an internet entrepreneur for 20 years now, if you can believe that. That makes me an old-timer. And I got started back in 1995 with my first website. There was only 18,000 sites in the whole world that year. And I think we've got, I don't know how many millions are out there now. I created a game site back in 1997 that was purchased by Yahoo in 1998, became known as Yahoo Games. And I've written a number of books over the years teaching people how to make money with Google AdSense, writing about social media and a number of other topics. And the app that you speak of made a bit of a stink in the marketplace. You could say it was explosive. I am guilty of being the creator of the most popular novelty app, and perhaps most controversial of all time, the iFart. Yes, and my mom is proud of it. So that was #1 for 3 weeks when it came out, and still sells and gets talked about to this day.
That's hilarious. What made you come up with that app, of all the apps you could possibly make?
Well, it's not the only one we made, but you know, back at that time, my company was composed largely of men, and I remember pulling into the conference room and whiteboarding a lot of different ideas out. In fact, several of them we've seen other people do since then, and we just cracked up when we began discussing this idea, and it was really easy to produce. It didn't cost a whole lot. We did it quickly, and before you knew it, it just kind of gathered up steam of its own.
Cool. So we're talking about reach today. I didn't really introduce that very well when I started the show. I was so excited to have you guys
okay.
on.
We got you, Carol. We got you back.
I'm like, oh, let's talk about marketing and let's forget to tell what the show's all about. Yay! All right. So how can businesses and people use social media to expand their reach? Let's talk about that.
Well, social media is nothing more than the way we interact in the real world, only it's done online, and because it's done online, we're able to multiply that reach exponentially. There are hundreds of millions of people using social media, and those people are your customers. And now that we have the ability to reach around the world in virtually seconds, the amount of people that we can touch with our message has just increased exponentially. And you know, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Pinterest, this is how we do it today.
So let's talk about etiquette for social media, because I know some of the newbies, myself included, when I first got started, just didn't understand exactly how the etiquette in social media works. So what would you recommend?
So the social media platforms are not there so that you have a place to stand with a bullhorn and say, buy my stuff. This is the typical mistake that newbies will make, is they'll get on Twitter and they'll immediately begin promoting whatever it is they're selling. And they'll become a billboard. And in the social space, doing that type of activity is no different than if you were to stand, walk down the street and start knocking on people's doors and say, buy my stuff. It's people don't know who you are, so they're not going to like the fact that you're knocking at their door. They're definitely not going to trust you. But no like and trust have to be built before a transaction can take place. Social media affords us the opportunity to engage with people just the way we would if we were face to face with them, to find out about them, to discover what it is they like, to discover what value they bring to the world. And in turn, you bring value to their lives. And as people get to see the value that you bring, the knowledge that you have, the fact that you actually care about them, they get to know you, they get to like you and trust you, and that opens the door for a transaction to take place. Any other way of doing it is short-circuiting the system, and it's not natural. So newbies out there, don't worry about selling your stuff. In fact, everybody out there, it's not about selling your stuff. It's about bringing value to the world around you using your talent, skills, abilities, personality, the knowledge that you have.
Great, thank you. Now, sorry, I was just thinking about what you were saying. I have heard the discussion multiple times about social media being a waste of time for businesses.
Mm-hmm.
I've bought a lot from people that I've met online in social networking platforms. Have you?
Oh, absolutely. You know, such a great way to get to know people. I was just looking at my Facebook friend list the other day, and everybody uses social media differently. I'm very selective about who I friend with. If you just send me a friend request and I don't know you, I won't accept it. If we've met somewhere, though, we've had some sort of contact, or maybe you've written me on Facebook and given me a message and told me a little bit about yourself, I'm way more likely to connect. But I was looking at my network of friends and thinking, wow, this past couple years of using social media has really expanded my network. And it's led to me doing business with others and for others doing business with me. And there's no doubt that it works, because the bottom line is doing business is really about people, and it's all about relationship. And because social media can connect people from all over the world so quickly, we now have opportunity to build relationship with people everywhere. If that doesn't accelerate your business, then you're really doing something wrong.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking too. I bought something from someone in the UK, someone from Thailand, and then I'm sure I met Mike through social media, and I can't remember how you and I connected, but I'm sure it was a friend that connected us, and then now look, you're on my show and social media works. So that's
Boom,
cool.
there it is. Proof. What else do you need?
Mind you, this brings back real networking, because when I first saw you in person, I was such a dolt. I went up to you and I went, hey, I recognize your name. And you took your name badge and you flipped it up like that, and you went, well, yeah, I can recognize it too, or something along those lines. I'm like,
Oh, was I snarky? That makes sense.
I'm like, oh, I'm such a dolt. I was such a jerk. But anyways, so let's talk about the current social media trends. What are you seeing happening in the social media space?
Pictures and video. Of course, we'll hear from Mike in a little bit. And, it's one thing to read it. That makes it, this level of believable. It's another thing to read it and hear it. But when we read it, hear it, see it, we're so visual, it's just that much more believable. And we connect with images so quickly. A picture says 1,000 words. And when you add video to it, and now people can connect with the person who's actually moving in the picture that you're looking at. Wow, that sounds like 1920s moving pictures. They're able to connect that much more. And I've become a big fan of an app called WordSwag. I wish I owned it, because then every time I shared it, I would make money from it. But it allows you to create simple word quote pictures, and I've been doing that a lot. And people really embrace photos and interact, like, comment, retweet, favorite, share images much faster than they will if it's just text. And we're just visual beings. And so that's why we've seen the rise of Instagram and Pinterest, and I'm sure more image sites to follow.
Now, is that WordSwag?
WordSwag, yeah, that's the app for the iOS version, and then there's a similar app for Android that's called PicLab, Piclab.
Cool. I think you're the king of selfies too, Joel.
I'm not sure if I like that title or not. I mean, I know some people who do more than I do, but what I discover is that people really engage with me when they see me. And so it's not this obsession with photos of myself. It's that when I take a picture of scenery, I notice I get a certain amount of engagement when I take a picture of myself in that scenery and they see the emotion on my face, right? And there's a connection to me as a person, there's more engagement. And so, you continue with what works. And for whatever reason, selfies work. It allows us to connect with that person in that moment.
Cool. Now, for the people who are not using social media platforms to expand their reach, and they're confused, they don't know what to do, where to go, what do you tell them as to which platform they should use?
Well, experiment with all of the big ones and figure out which one you enjoy the most. There's no way you can use them all, right? And you've got people telling you, well, you should be on LinkedIn and you should be on YouTube and you should be on Twitter and you're not posting pictures on Pinterest? You're missing out on all this business. And it's really overwhelming. And what I like to tell people is to relax and breathe. If you let people should on you and tell you what you should be doing all the time, now they and social media are running your life. And really, you need to be the master of your life. Social media is not my master. I'm the boss, and I get to decide which social media platforms I use, how often I use them, how I use them, when I use them, and why I use them. And ultimately, you have that same power. And so you need to play around with them and figure out which of the platforms you enjoy using the most and where you get the most engagement from from other people. And then go ahead and use those. That's don't let anybody should on you because you're a free person and you need to let social media be subject to your decisions.
Right. And all the platforms are a little bit different in how you use them too.
Correct. I don't really use Pinterest hardly at all. I have an account. I do a little bit. There's some people that follow me, but I don't. And I'm a picture guy too. I do use Instagram some, but you'll find me most often on Facebook and on Twitter and LinkedIn, and that's where I get the greatest use. And I use all of them for different reasons. But overall, Facebook is the greatest engagement, which kind of hacks me off a little bit because I'm not happy with the direction Facebook is going.
Neither am I, not at all. So what do you recommend for people who have a small business? Do you recommend using their profile or their page?
Both.
Page.
Both. But with pages, it's getting more challenging because even though you might have 10,000 likes to your page, because of Facebook's EdgeRank algorithm, when you do post something, you might only reach 5 to 10% of the people that say they want to hear from you unless you pay Facebook to advertise. And that's one of the things that I don't like. And I would guess that in the near future that Facebook is going to start charging to actually have a page. And it's not going to surprise me when that happens. And so I actually use my personal profile a lot more because I am my brand. And I might post about business, or I might post about a movie I just saw, or put a picture or an inspirational quote, and it's all over the map. But I've got a much better chance of engaging with my audience by using my personal page.
Yeah, me too. I changed my strategy about 6 months ago, and we've had some interesting discussions with people about using your profile as your the way to get your message out, but I believe that it's great too. I was looking at some of the stats for my pages, and I'll post something on my profile and I will get a lot of engagement, a lot of comments back and forth. I could post the same thing on my page and it's like 3 people saw it. I'm like, yeah, it's a challenge. It really is. So
it is, and that's why you've got to figure out what works for you.
Yeah. So what advice do you give to people who are ready to throw in the towel when it comes to trying to expand their reach using social media?
Post more pictures of cats and bacon. And if you can both at the same time, we'll get you extra points. I would take a look at how they're using it, right? If they're frustrated because they're not getting more business out of it, then stop trying to promote your business. Just engage with people, engage with your family, engage with your friends, talk about what's happening in your life, and keep it real. It wasn't until after the first edition of my book, Twitter Power, came out, that I learned a really valuable lesson. And we're always learning. None of us ever know it all. And I remember posting a photo of some donuts. I just thought these donuts look so good, and I have a sweet tooth. This is my sweet tooth right here in my whole head. And I posted, "What's your favorite donut? Make mine chocolate." And I got more reaction and responses to that picture of donuts than I did anything that I posted about in business. And I realized at that moment that really it's the mundane tweets, the everyday things, the things we make fun of. Who cares what you're having for breakfast, or that you took your dog for a walk? People do care, because those moments become points of identification for us as human beings. All of a sudden, Joel Comm's not just this New York Times best-selling author off there in Colorado doing, his thing. He's this guy who likes donuts. Hey, I like donuts too, and because I like donuts and Joel likes donuts, I like Joel. I'm going to engage with him. And it's real, it's authentic. And so if you're frustrated, you're throwing a towel, post a picture of something that's just interesting to you. Ask people questions. Answer other people's questions. Don't try so hard. It's like if you were to walk into a room at a party and you were going to try hard, everybody would move off to the walls and avoid you, because nobody likes to be around that kind of person. But if you just engage with people and discuss whatever it is that circle is talking about, you're going to find that you're welcomed to the conversation.
Great, thank you. And Joel, I realized right at that moment you said New York Times best-selling author that I forgot to read your bio. I'm sorry.
Oh, we have as our guest today, we have Joel Comm. He does stuff. Welcome, Joel. There you go. I'm good with that.
Oh, yeah, keeping it real. Yeah. Oh, sorry. All right, well, Joel, thank you very much. Now I'm going to actually introduce Mike Koenigs properly, and then I'll bring you back, Joel, and have you help our hot seat guest, Carrie, in a little bit. So thanks a lot, Joel.
Can I introduce Mike?
Please, go for it.
Okay.
Awesome.
So our next guest on Carol Wayne's Reinvention show is one of the pioneers in the internet marketing world. Not only the pioneer in internet marketing, but the pioneer in internet video. This guy is made for camera, and he has a heart of gold. He's been through some tremendous struggles in his life, and I'm not sure if we're going to hear about any of that today, but he is also the founder of the world-famous Traffic Geyser and the Instant Customer System. Would you please give a warm, rousing, stand up on your feet and yell welcome to Mr. Mike Koenigs.
Thanks, Joel. Wow, that was nice. Thank you very much, and thank you, Carol. It's so nice. Joel and I don't get to see each other as often as we like to or used to, but years ago, back when we were both getting started, we used to actually share hotel rooms in a totally platonic, heterosexual way. Of course, we're both married men, but we used to stay at all the big conferences and conventions, just have the funnest time brainstorming. And the best thing about Joel is I love his brain and his creativity, and it always seems like we're moving in these fun, parallel paths. And so thank you for that, Joel, and it's an honor to be here.
Oh, thanks. And Joel did a much better job than I would have done introducing you. So thank you, Joel. That was awesome.
My pleasure.
So, Mike, how about you give us a little bit more about your backstory and how you became the 2009 Marketer of the Year?
Yeah, well, I paid for that, but no. Really what that was a very nice recognition that I got from the Early to Rise group, which is part of, help me out here, what the name of the company is. I can't remember right now, but anyway, like Joel said, I've been online doing internet video for a long time, and my first information product was called the Internet Infomercial Toolkit. I made it before there was a YouTube, and actually before there was a Google Video. So what I did is I deconstructed the infomercial and transferred it to selling online. And probably my unique skill, there are about 4 things I'm really good at, 4,000 I'm horrible at, and probably 40,000 more I'm not even aware that I'm horrible at. But one of them is, as far as I know, I'm the top selling direct-to-camera video salesperson. And I've produced in one direct-to-live broadcast $3.1 million in sales, and 1 month and 2 days ago today, We completed our 11th consecutive multi-million-dollar launch, and we had a $1 million day just doing a direct-to-camera video. So what we've learned is we've come up with a formula that we teach, actually, on how to excuse me, convert people into buyers by having a conversation with them direct to camera, and our average viewer value is over $100. We have regularly produce $100 to $400. So all that came from growing up. I grew up in South Central Minnesota. Taught myself to program when I was 14 years old. I wasn't good at school. I wasn't good at sports. Very nerdy, geeky, not popular, and I figured out that what I could do is deconstruct. I was good at taking things apart, figuring out how they worked, and putting them back together again. So that's really why I do what I do. Is my focus and mission in life is to create 1 million entrepreneurs before I pass, and help them start and launch businesses, and use online marketing and specifically video to do that. So I'm also a recent cancer survivor. That's what Joel was alluding to. I got word just a few weeks ago that I'm 2 years from my original diagnosis, which happened, 22 days from now 2 years ago. But I was diagnosed with stage 3A cancer that almost killed me. I went through chemo, radiation, and major surgery. It was far enough along that I couldn't have survived without direct medical intervention. But I'm very grateful to be alive, and I got the all clear a couple weeks ago, and I've got to go 5 years now until the medical world calls me cured. But I thankfully I look and feel normal again, because not long ago I weighed about 30 pounds less than I did. I lost most of my hair, and I was gray and old looking, so I don't feel that way anymore either.
Yeah, you're looking a lot better on this show than when I had you on the Women's Reinvention Summit. So it's so great to see you looking so vibrant. Yay! So we're talking about reach today, and you actually helped me expand my reach. I took your Author Expert Marketing Machine program, and I was on your stage, the very first stage that I'd been on, in front of 500 people. So that was a pretty nerve-wracking for me. But where do you think the biggest opportunities are for people to expand their reach?
All right. So here's what the way I would frame this is this. I believe that we live in the greatest moment in human history when it is now possible to be seen, heard, read, listened to, viewed on any device, anywhere, anytime. And what that means is that if you follow a very simple content creation model, you can rapidly perform like we are right now. We're presenting, we're performing, we're sharing, or as I like to say, we are all in show business. And when I say that, I'm not talking about an inauthentic performance. I'm talking about we are in the business of transforming people's lives, all of us. Every product is designed to somehow transform an experience. So we need to show people that we know what we're talking about, that we care about them, that our products and our services work, and that we can provide solutions, first of all, based on giving, providing high value, high quality, engaging content and information that presents an option, provides a sense of hope and inspiration and motivation, and ultimately that transformation. And what I would hope is also transcendence, because if you deliver, or when you deliver, a high quality product or service and information, people are going to talk about you. You are going to become and remain relevant. So inside of all this right now, you can leverage the largest brands in the world. So for example, right now we're using Google, which actually connects with about 2 billion people per month on average, when you include Google services plus YouTube, which is now delivering about 4 million videos a month, or 4 billion rather, on average. So if I said, look, I know how to grow your business and borrow the customers, clients, and viewers on Google for free. We're doing it right now with Google Hangouts. Here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us here. Well, actually 5 of us. There's an extra space, but we're actually communicating talking, and Google is giving us this service. Why are they doing this for us? Because when users, customers, people from all over the world provide engaging content, Google will sell more advertising, okay? They will sell more Android devices and products and services. It's in their best interest. So they're giving us a mechanism to broadcast our message, your content, a way to help and support people for free and to millions of simultaneous viewers. That's one thing a lot of people don't know is with Google Hangout technology or YouTube Live technology, you could literally start a show, broadcast a high-definition television program to any device, mobile device, tablet, desktop, laptop, even televisions for free. It's unprecedented. So let's just call that step one. Step two is we could be taking this exact same content right now and leveraging Apple's 1.8 billion registered users in the form of a podcast. So this recording can be then saved, stored, delivered as a podcast on iTunes, and iTunes will promote you in front of, right now they've got 800 million credit cards on file, 1.8 billion registered iOS account holders. Okay? That is amazing. So when you combine those two, using the same content, that's pretty interesting. But the next thing, and I know you learned this, Carol, is this same content could be transcribed, put into a book format, and delivered and marketed by Amazon, which right now would put you in front of over 300 million credit card carrying customers. And I'll show you some proof. I've written 5 books in 18 months, one of which, my first one I read, or wrote rather, in my iPhone. I spoke it while I was crumpled up in the fetal position in my bed while I had cancer. The second one I co-wrote with with Pam Hendrickson using the same model. Again, going through at that point chemotherapy. Third one did the same thing. All of which we leveraged these free networks and were able to become #1 best-selling authors and sell about 3,000 books in a week time, which these days a lot of big-name authors are happy if they move that many books. Okay, that's the simple reality. So again, the idea is you can create content once, deliver it to any device, anytime, anywhere, be viewed, interacted with, listened to, you can be read with the same content, and then leverage the social networks to do that. So I think when you take all that into account, we have the opportunity right now, and I don't know how long what we have will remain as easy and as accessible as it is, but you know, if you think about it, in the past, someone has been in charge of determining or deciding whether or not your content can be delivered, and you have to get permission from a publisher or a broadcaster or a radio, or you know, it's like the powers that be controlled everything. And this is frankly why dictators could even have power over people, because the control of information is the control of power. So I know I went off on that, but that pretty much sums up everything that I'm doing right now. I'm so excited, and we've helped over 300 people in the past 18 months write and produce and deliver best-selling books. Many of them are top 10 in their categories, using this exact same model. So I know it works. It worked for me, and it's worked for many, many others, including you. I know that.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, it worked for me. I was #1 in 3 categories in Amazon, and I knocked Howard Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks, out of his spot for a little while too. So I was really excited when I used your model. So thank you again.
Yeah, congratulations. You are a model of success. I'm just so appreciative, and the old model may not have given you permission, right? So now you have the opportunity to give yourself permission and have control over your own future, your own destiny, and your ability to share your helpful message to thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, even billions of people, and do it free of charge. Never before has that been possible.
I know, it's awesome. So where do you think the future is going with the internet? What's your prediction for that?
Well, I think the first thing is this notion of understanding, again, when I reframed what show business means, realizing that every business is in show business, and the fight to become and stay relevant has changed, and all of us have the ability, with nothing more than either a mobile phone or a desktop and laptop, you can basically create high quality, live or recorded television, radio, or books. And someone with a, you can buy a tablet these days for $75 and do that from a borrowed connection in front of a McDonald's, okay? So there is absolutely no excuse whatsoever. In my opinion, it is unconscionable. It is a violation of your existence as a human being not to become wealthy and successful when you understand this notion. That's how strongly I feel about it. There is absolutely no excuse not to be a rock star, a transformer of lives, and an inspirational figure and a motivator, no matter who you are or where you live. When you learn that every opportunity, every challenge that any business has is a storytelling challenge or a storytelling opportunity. It's a way to connect and bond, and technology is allowing that to happen. So none of what I talked about there was all that new. It's how we do it and the fact that it's so easily accessible. And some of the other big things, I would say my next big prediction is the decimation of the broadcast and cable industry, just like the music industry saw it with Napster initially and Kazaa Network, which basically gave away music. But Apple was able to prove that people were willing to pay for their content, for the convenience of having it instantly available and on all their devices, and gladly pay $1.29 a song. And now to be able to have movies in their home. Netflix has proven that too with very successful models. The same has happened with the newspaper and the magazine industry now. The next big moment is going to come from cable, which is already, if you look at the fact that cable companies are starting to fold, they're trying to aggregate or consolidate. You've got AT&T in the process of buying the satellite network. Complete rotten, stupid move, in my opinion, but they're trying to acquire content. But here's what's going to happen. Here's my big prediction. Apple is going to unbundle and sell channels on any iOS device, meaning any television, any smart tablet or phone or computer. So now you're going to be able to say, hey, look, I just want HBO, Showtime, and ESPN, for example. And Apple will say, well, that's a 3-pack at $7.99 a month. Screw your cable company, because who likes dealing with them anyway? They've been rotten providers, mean to us, and they've screwed us for a long time. Let's face it, I don't know anyone who loves their cable company. I don't know anyone who loves their mobile phone provider, right? And that's not to say anything evil about them. It's just they've got a business that is basically extorted money for a long time because they could, and they've monopolized it. Not for long. But here's what's important. Everyone on the planet can start their own radio or television show and deliver their content with absolutely no restrictions and have a one-on-one connected relationship and a bond and communicate with their customers on any level they want. And again, it's unprecedented. So being and thinking of yourself in show business and as a broadcaster is a shift in mindset that every business needs to adapt and adopt, or they will become extinct, and that is my prediction.
That is a very good prediction, and I agree with you 100%. Now, is this why you love video so much?
So deep inside, I'm two things. Growing up, I was a frustrated game developer, and I eventually realized that in order to write video games, I either had to be 100 times better than my natural skills and talents were, or I'd find a new market to dominate. And one of the first, my most popular product I ever created got shipped in 6 million boxes of breakfast cereal. It was a game called Chex Quest. And it was a CD-ROM that was sponsored by AOL and was distributed by General Mills. It was basically a Doom adventure game. So I was able to become a high-volume game developer and make more than most game developers would by shifting the focus by where I could sell, okay, and how I did it and what I provided. I did the same thing with my first movie that was actually an interactive CD-ROM movie. It was called Virtual Cop, and so I ended up making a feature film, and my partner and I made the first independent high-definition feature film. So we raised and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars of our own money. We raised $1 million to do it. When we released the movie, it came out. There were two things that were wrong with it. The first of which is the movie was done, and we tried to sell it 2 weeks before 9/11 happened, and 9/11 decimated the motion picture, the indie business, for almost 2 years. It became impossible to sell. Here's the other thing, though. We couldn't screen our high-definition movie anywhere because there were no screening rooms. And people who saw it, the quality was so vivid and bright, it looked better than 35 millimeter, and people said, yuck, this looks like video. It's too clean. Where's the film grain? People were looking for the imperfections because they weren't used to seeing it. So at that point, being first didn't pay off. But where it did pay off is when I started looking at infomercials, and I watched basically like showmen at state fairs, you know, the guys who sold it slices, it dices, it cuts, it mends, it fires. Anyway, I'd watch these guys have huge followings. People would watch them, and people would line up 50% of an audience to buy whatever they were selling. And I'm like, I want their magical forces and powers. And then when the infomercial came along, and I saw what Joe Sugarman did, he sold $1 billion worth of sunglasses on TV. I'm like, that guy's got magical powers. If only I could do that. But how am I ever going to learn how to make videos and get on the air? It seemed impossible. So when I saw my first video online in probably, I don't know, 1996 or so, because I was developing websites, my company, at that point it was called Digital Cafe, we produced some of the very first movie websites that actually put trailers online. And this is back in the days of slow modems when people had to dial into services like Delphi and Prodigy and CompuServe and watch a postage stamp at 5 frames per second. But it wasn't too much longer that the internet got a little bit faster. I put up a couple of videos and I started selling some products online, and our sales were crazy. And then Google Video came along, and later on YouTube. And what I was able to do is not only make money selling stuff with video, but teaching other people how to do it. But that's when I produced Traffic Geyser, which then distributed videos all over the internet with the click of a button to a whole bunch of places and created a lot of links. You could literally upload a video, press a button, and dominate 3 or 4 pages of Google in 15 or 20 minutes. And so to answer that question again, you just got to look at it and say, okay, what's the opportunity? Where are the trends moving? But more importantly, how can I fit into a niche that is underserved and is providing more money that isn't popular or so competitive that a lot of people are willing to give their lives to it and not get paid? So in the end, I did not want to be an overweight alcoholic musician playing in the bar in the same town I grew up in. I didn't want to be stuck, you know, living in my grandmother's basement writing video games for 15 years and never getting kissed and weighing 400 pounds. You know, the same. You know, I could go down the pathway with making movies as well. All those things have this dark side to it that a lot of people don't see. They only see what's popular. But it's the people underground. There's 99 people who aren't succeeding where the other 1% or the 99% are failing where 1% could be succeeding. But you have an opportunity to find and deliver in a niche that could be extremely profitable, extremely connected, and it's easier now than ever before. Ever before.
Cool. Now you've got a really powerful strategy to help people get results very quickly. Can you share that with us quickly?
Well, let's see. Yeah, I know I went over, so I apologize for that. You have to stop me. Just push a buzzer, throw objects through the screen at me. So which strategy? You mean the 10-10-4 or something else?
Yeah,
okay.
10-10-4.
So here's the basic idea. I'll summarize this. I'll do it as fast as I can. So let's say you have a unique skill set. So I could go to Joel and I'd say, Joel, one of the things that Joel's done that's so brilliant is he's found unexploited niches. He brainstorms and he rapidly produces apps, okay? And that's genius. He's also really good at sniffing out opportunities. So we could create a product right now and a book and a podcast and a show with Joel Comm about that. Now, I did a little bit of research on Carrie, and I know a little bit about you, but I'd want to know, how you started the eWomen's Network in Victoria, British Columbia, or in Canada, because it's like, okay, how did you put that thing together? How did you connect with people? A lot of people would like to do that. So if I went to Joel, I said, Joel, you're a creative genius. You find unexploited opportunities. I'd like to know and have you write down the top 10 questions people give you or ask you about becoming a successful entrepreneur. And how long would that take you to come up with those, Joel? I wrote this down.
It wouldn't take long at all because you get those same questions all the time.
All the time, right? You've been getting asked and answering the frequently asked questions. And chances are, once you start writing down the 10, you realize there's 100 more. But I've done this exact same performance presentation on stage and elsewhere for almost 10 years now. And what I've found is most people come up with 5 to 15, an average of 10 questions in 3 minutes. So if you know that there's 20 3-minute blocks in an hour, 20 times 10 is 200. Most people can come up with 200 frequently asked questions. So then we go over and I say, well, if I went to Joel and I said, hey, Joel, now there's actually some secret sauce to what you do. There's not the frequently asked questions because the uninitiated, the uneducated, the ignorant ask you the frequently asked questions. But if I asked you right now, Joel, what is the real secret? What's one strategy that's you've learned from trial and error, going through a lot of iterations, making a lot of mistakes, losing a ton of money? What's the grandest lesson you've learned about identifying a hot niche that has consistently performed for you? Can you just tell me what one of those might happen to be?
What a question somebody would ask me about that?
Well, it's a should-ask question. In other words, it's what you wish someone would ask you, and this is where you're going to reveal your time-tested wisdom, your knowledge that you've gained through trial and error and experience. But I guarantee you there's something you do that's magically different than almost anyone else.
Right.
It's unique to you. Can you describe maybe one of those things very briefly?
Yeah, well, it's the willingness to take the risk and the willingness to fail, right? And so by saying, I'm shooting for hitting this out of the ballpark, but if it doesn't, my life is not going to fall apart. There are other projects that I can do, and I think when you're willing to step up to the plate and swing for the fences again and again, knowing that they're not all going to go over the fence, you've got a lot better chance of hitting some of those over the fence.
Totally. Now, here's what's interesting about what you just said, Joel, and for anyone who's watching this, should-ask questions are mindset most of the time. The magical sauce isn't doing, it's in the thinking. It's how you think. It's how you are resourceful. It's how you've trained your brain to observe and find opportunities. And so this is where people, when they hear the should-ask questions, they will fall in love with you and realize that you are their secret. So the point out of all this, Carol, is if you wrote down the top 10 frequently asked questions, top 10 should-ask questions, we could literally start right now, click the play button. I'll bet you in 20 minutes we could all brainstorm together. We could do it with Carrie. We can do it with you. We can do it with Joel. We could come up with 10 of each, click the record button, and perform this like we are right now. We could actually do Q&A interviews, come up with 10 questions, the should-ask questions, and when we're done, we'd probably have anywhere from 2 to 4 hours worth of awesome content. It would literally be Joel's collective 10 or 20 years worth of wisdom, or Carrie's, or Carol's, or whoever, for anyone watching this right now, yours. Now that is great content, highly engaging, and you could even do Q&A and probably get another 40 good questions. So now you'd really know what your audience wants and needs. Now every one of those Q&A pairs can be sliced up into a podcast episode and delivered on iTunes once a day, once a week, once a month, whatever you wanted to deliver as. You literally have a year's worth of content from one setting. But it gets even better because that same content could be sent off, transcribed on, let's say, Fiverr, turned into some content, and you could go get a book cover made on Fiverr for $5 to $25. Right now, Fiverr, you can find great people who do transcriptions for about $5 for 10 minutes. So even an hour's worth of content is $30. It's nothing. Then we go and we actually have the content edited. You can hire someone on Fiverr, People Per Hour, or any other one of the Elance, Odesk sites. Usually costs $300 to $800 to do that if you don't want to edit yourself. You can literally turn out a book in a half an afternoon and maybe an additional half a day to 2 days of your own time on top of that, and publish it, present it, and become not only a published author, but with 50 to 100 sales in a 24-hour period of time, you can become a top 10, #1 Amazon best-selling author, which is a giant gift that will get you into doors, give you opportunities you can't imagine. So think about it. One short exercise, a half a day of your life, and you can have a show, a podcast with a year's worth of content, and a book. And that's why I believe anyone who says, oh, it's too much work, is inexcusable, okay? You might as well just give up and jump off the side of a cliff with the rest of the lemmings and become irrelevant, because it is something everyone has the gift and some knowledge in front of them. And I know I sound a little harsh there, but it's just to illustrate anyone who says, oh, it's too much work. It's like, if you're watching this, you can do it. If you ever watch television or putter around consuming other people's media, you are a consumer, not a creator, okay? It is an insult to your creator not to create. That's what you are here to do, okay? It's to make more babies, basically. That's what we're built for as human beings, but also to transform and share love and our lives with people, to spread ourselves and to connect and bond. That's what this game is about, in my opinion.
Cool.
That was way too long, I know, but what the hell?
It's okay. I love your passion, Mike. It's awesome. So I'm going to ask you one last question, because you've got the traffic geyser thing behind you, and people are probably wondering what that's all about. So can you tell us in about 2 minutes what traffic geyser is all about?
That I can do. I will not violate. I'm sitting here and I'm screwing my fellow speakers, and that's a violation. I apologize to all of you for that. All right, so this is the short version. Traffic Geyser is a system. It is a tool that will distribute your content to over a dozen video and social media sites with the click of a button, so you get more attention and you can be seen, heard, and found anywhere, anytime. The system is now built into Instant Customer, which captures leads. And effectively, this tool can not only deliver your content all over the internet, it will capture your leads, connect with your, and allow you to create like mobile responsive lead capture websites. It'll do two-way mobile text. It'll deliver voicemail messages, email. It's easy to use step by step. And it's almost a decade old, so it works, and as the times have changed, so have we. And what I can tell you is, if you want, I have a book. This is my latest best-selling book. It's called You Everywhere Now, and it goes into a little more depth of some of the stuff I've talked about, but you can actually have it for free as a gift. And you can just go to Traffic Geyser and get that, and that way you'll learn more about Traffic Geyser at the same time. But it's just a gift from me to you, and a way to learn more about how to deliver your content and leverage the largest brands and their distribution networks in the world. 2 minutes. There you go.
You did it. Yahoo. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, Carrie, you're on. Let's welcome you to the show, first of all.
Thank you.
And let me actually read a bio for today. How about that? Or maybe not. All right, Carrie, why don't you tell us about yourself? I'm having one of those days today.
Well, just over 16 years ago, I started coaching. The world of coaching was new in those days, and so, of course, personal life coaching was I originally started with. But I have a background, grew up with parents who were entrepreneurs, and so quickly I started moving into the world of coaching entrepreneurs, small business owners. I had also had a 12-year career in real estate, so I've got a sales background as well, so it sort of really all fit. So I've been coaching now, really business coaching for 16 years, and my foray into eWomen Network was a way for me to expand my reach, actually, to appeal to the audience of female entrepreneurs. I retired from that position 2 years ago because my parents were elderly, and I knew that I was going to lose them soon, which I did, and so now I'm kind of back at my career, at my desk. I've got a full coaching practice, meaning I'm coaching full on with clients all around the world using technology now, Skype, etc. So where I am today, and what I'd love some coaching on, is I started Hangout with Coach Carrie. It's my Google Hangout because I have a lot of knowledge in that 16 years that I've gathered, and I wanted a way to be able to put it out to the world. So I have 7 episodes now. My website, hangoutwithcoachcarrie.com, is actually being worked on right now. In fact, I think it's still black in the background, and it still has some placeholder names on it and everything else. So So that's me. And do you want me to go right into my questions, Carol?
Sure,
Because
please.
I'm based on time.
Yeah,
Okay.
please do.
Good. So my question for the two of you is sort of this is where I'm at. I'm active on social media. Like most of us talked about today, or most of you talked about today, the reach for our Facebook pages is limited, but I'm active on them. I've started my Google Hangout now. So what would you do if I was a client of yours with what I've told you so far?
Mike, do you want to go
All right.
first?
Yeah, sure. I'll give you. Well, the first thing is, what's your unique skill set, talent that you can claim ownership of?
Well, and that's a tough one because as a business coach, there's so many things that
Let's say you've got it. You got a gun to your temple. You got about 10 seconds. So no story. What are you good at? How have you made a living? How have you been paid? Who loves you? Who comes back to you and says, Carrie, you've changed my life. I love what you've done for me. Can you tell me a transformational story about one person who is representative of the kind of person you love to work with, who knows, likes, trusts you? You did something for them. No story. Tell me that story. Okay? Not about you. Tell me about someone else.
Okay. Okay, boy. Well, I think the gift that all my clients tell me I have is that I inspire them. I inspire them with practical strategies.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Yep.
I'm going to stop you right there. I don't want to hear about a story about you. I want to hear a story about one person that you have helped who came to you, would tell me their problem, what you did, and what result they got, and how long it took. Okay? Can you do that?
And I'm gonna say before you do that, Carrie, I'm looking at your LinkedIn page right now, and I see all these recommendations. So talk about those.
Okay.
Was it a man? Was it a woman? What's their first name? Tell me a story about a person.
Okay, so right now I'm going to talk about Mike. Mike came to me 6 months ago. Mike has business. He's doing $5 million a year in business. Mike was his success was because he was an extremely enthusiastic guy who was just kind of chasing after the business. Knew how to create predictable income, didn't know how to actually put systems and all of that kind of stuff in place. So what I worked with him on is, issues with staffing, how to hire correctly, how to actually set meetings up, regular communication with staff so that they can be trained, training systems. I mean, between where we were 6 months ago, or where he was 6 months ago and where he is today, his business has really transformed because of all of these pieces that we took a look at and said what was missing in this area, what was missing in this area, and we actually developed the clarity. First of all, what was the problem? Then what we figured out is what was the strategy to actually deal with it, and then of course I hold his feet to the fire to get the work done.
Okay, so let me ask you this: do you have any idea approximately how much income or revenue he was generating before you walked in, and about how much more he's making because of your involvement?
That's a really good question because he, at the time, didn't come to me to actually make more money. He came so that he would actually not have to work 200 hours a
Excellent.
week.
So there we go. We'll look at the benefit. Is he working less now?
Yes.
Okay. About how much less? What quantifiable number?
I would say at least 30% less, and with more clarity on what to be working on at any given time.
Okay. Excellent. All right. So here's my advice, short and simple and sweet. I go to your website. I'm going to give you two pieces of information. You gave me almost everything I need, but one last one. What type of business does Mike have?
You mean what industry is he in?
Yep.
Construction.
Construction, great. And how did you meet him?
Through networking.
Networking at a networking event?
Yes, so to face-to-face, one-on-one networking.
Okay. All right. And if we were going to go down, can you tell me a little bit about Mike? How old is he? Where does he live? Does he have kids? What kind of a car does he drive? And do you know about how much money he makes per year?
Yeah, of course I have to be careful because a lot of this I have to be confidential.
That's fine.
It is. So lives locally, mid-30s, no children.
Okay, great.
Drives a truck.
Okay, great. So, and if we did this exercise right now, and you did it with people who've recommended you, And so the basically I call this the perfect customer exercise. It's actually in my book, but the objective is to identify 3 people you've worked with and tell their story. Because here's the thing. When I asked you what's your unique skill set, you opened up with a story about why you couldn't. That's basically where it was going, okay? Right. And what the complications were and all this stuff. It's a bunch of drama. No one buys drama, they buy results, okay? They don't care about your drama. You don't have permission to talk about your drama until you talk about your results with physical, irrefutable proof, and it needs to come from social proof. Right. So your website, my advice is this. If all you had is a page filled with 3 stories of transformation with your past customers and clients who basically say, I worked with Carrie. I have a construction business. My name is Mike. I met her at a networking event, and I was struggling because I spent all my time with blah, blah, blah. I had no time, okay? And I didn't realize that my problem was I was great at chasing and closing business, and I could create predictable income, but I didn't have any systems in place. I was horrible at hiring and staffing my team. I didn't know how to hire. I didn't know how to schedule and set up efficient meetings. I didn't know how to create training systems because if I lost someone, I had to retrain them over and over again. But my business is transformed. I got my life back. I'm working 30% less. I've become more efficient, and I actually like my business again. Okay? Carrie is incredible. So all I did now is I repeated just what you told me from his point of view. Right. So if a visitor to your website watches that and then watches a story about Sue, who is 67 years old, who blah, 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 and Polly, who da-da, you give me 3 of those, and you own me, all right? And if next to that it would be like, okay, I'm Carrie, here's what I do. I will give you your life back and give you the time you need, and I will find and see systems in your business you don't see, and as your coach and as your advocate, I will make sure you learn to love. I will help you love your business again, get your life back, get your time back by finding efficient, proven systems. And that's what Carrie does. So here's the thing. My gut, and I don't know this because this is just like I'm literally just cold reading you right now.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that I don't know if anyone who's busy, so and personally, like, I hate the word hangouts because what they mean is big fat waste of time. All right? I don't hang out, okay? I make money. So anyone who's good, who's out to get results, doesn't want to hang out. What they want is they want to find someone who will solve their problem right now. So my gut is hanging out isn't going to be how you're going to find and get your customers, and it might be attractive and fun to you, and it's a good way to maybe build some content and create some social networking awareness. Yeah. But do what you're doing well and charge more money. So I'm going to ask you one last question, which is how much money do you charge for the services that you provide? A range.
Depends on the client, anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 a month.
Okay. So if you consistently help someone work 30% less and add another 0 to their income, you should get half that money. Okay? So someone who's making an extra 30 grand a year because of what you did, you should be getting at least 15 grand. So I think you're undervaluing yourself by 5x. Okay? So if you use the other model I gave you, which is all you do is told 3 to 5 transformational stories, and you deconstructed the success of your customer. Have you written a book yet?
Not yet.
This is your book, okay?
Yeah.
So I have an interview that I'm going to share, and I'll give it to Carol to share with everyone on here of how I basically consulted with a book process just like this and helped him rethink, because he was going to create a how-to book. How-to books have no value. There's 1 billion people who can show you how-to. All how-to is free. It's on YouTube. It's on Google now. It's irrelevant, okay? It has no value. You might as well just go get a job as a barista. If you're in the transformational business and you teach people how to think, how to be resourceful, you are invaluable. And again, I believe you are underselling your true value, and your website doesn't represent what it is. I see a calendar on there, your tweets and comments. It's time-wasting tomfoolery. Give me results and show me proof. That's all you got to do. You got 5 seconds to own me. All right? You got 11 seconds to decide whether I'm leaving, and I'll give you 3 minutes to see whether or not I got an offer. Okay? Now, if all you did is took what I gave you today, and this is my opinion, I'm not trying to be like, oh, I know everything, because look, I could be a damn fool, and you can ignore everything I say. It's totally cool. It will not hurt my feelings. But what I can tell you is if you just take these lines and you say them in your own words, I can guarantee you success. I would go so far as to say this. When you implement everything I gave to you and you use it, if you do that, and if it doesn't make you an additional $5,000 in the next 12 months, I'll give you $5,000. That's how confident I am in it. Okay? I got to step out for just a second here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. While Mike's gone, Joel, do you have anything to add? Because we're right at 10 o'clock.
Brilliant, great, fantastic advice. And the direction that I was going to go next was to ask you if you had written a book, because the book lends itself, it lends you credibility unlike just about anything else that you can produce. In fact, if I look back at the 20 years of doing business, publishing, writing, and having published that first book was probably the thing that made the greatest leap in my career, to opening the door to more clients, more speaking opportunities, more guest blogging, more podcast interviews. And it makes you a celebrity because we have this perception of how important the book is. There's something about the printed word that lends itself to authority. Your website does need a bit of an overhaul, but what I wanted to
actually, it's being overhauled right this very moment. That's actually, it is being overhauled. That's why it looks the way it looks. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. My question for you is, there's a lot of people that do business consulting, and there's a reason that there are thousands of books out there on losing weight and on how to get fit and all these different things, is because everybody comes at it from there's commonalities in what people say, because there's some best practices that are great across the board, but everybody brings a unique angle and twist to what it is they're teaching other people. And you might not know exactly what that is right now, but based on your past experience, background, business background, and who you are, there's a uniqueness that you bring to your consulting that others don't. And that's really important. A lot of people shy away from the thing that makes them different because we're thinking, well, everybody else does it this way, so I need to do it this way. And I would encourage you to really focus on that thing that you do differently and make that a linchpin of everything that you do.
Right. Thank you. Well, one of my reasons for doing the Google Hangouts is actually to create the content for the book and podcast. So I'm sort of on that road already. That's the direction that I'm going. So thank you for affirming that. That's great.
Perfect. Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, you guys. We've run over, and I want to be very mindful of everyone's time. Mike's had to leave, so thank you very much in advance. Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you very much, Joel. Thank you very much, Carrie. And thank you to my producer, Keith. Just a reminder to everyone to go to thereinventionshow.com, put your name and email in the box so that you can receive advance notification of the next show and all the gifts that we have for our guests. I know that Mike has the gift of the book that he's already shared. And Joel, did you have something? I'm sorry, I forgot.
Actually, I do, and I'm going to put it here in the lower third. Let me make sure this comes up here. Yes, I've got a short URL. This book that I wrote a few years ago, Click Here to Order, Stories of the World's Most Successful Internet Marketing Entrepreneurs, is the definitive biography of the people like me who stayed at home and figured out how to make money online. And I did 50 hours of interviews with people like Mark Joyner, Mike Filsaime, Rich Schefren, Perry Marshall, Declan Dunn, the pioneers of internet marketing. And this is actually a biography which is very inspirational because it'll help people who are just trying to get started see, hey, this is possible. You can go ahead and download the book for free in a PDF version if you'll follow the URL there in my lower third. It's com.us/click here. It'll take you directly to the book. Just save as when you get there to your computer, and you can read and be inspired at your leisure.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Joel. And everyone else has shown their book, so here's mine. Guerrilla Tourism Marketing. So next week's show we have Reinventing Marketing to Women with Kelly Fidel and Tracy Repchuk. So until next week, ciao. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.